I'm going to be talking about the power of self-expression and how drag cultures are redefining identity. Everyone has a connection to something. It can be food, music, a movie, a TV show, even your hobby. For me, my connection is drag. Growing up, being my authentic self was something I was afraid of sharing. I had attended an all-boys boarding school where being gay wasn't something that was traditionally talked about. And in experiencing daily life with these boys, I realized I was different. And difference was scary to me. These differences made me question my identity. My first interaction with drag was when I was a freshman in high school. My English teacher, Matt, had us share things we were passionate about. Matt shared his passion, RuPaul's Drag Race. I started watching Drag Race a year later. A long time, I know, but I remember watching it for the first time and how I was instantly captivated by how courageous and fearless these queens were. I found that I connected with drag and the community that surrounds it. I could relate to their differences and how it was making me feel. These queens were my role models, inspiring me to let go of all the fear I was feeling. Prior to watching Drag Race, I felt limited, like I was chained to a desperation of fitting in. Every Friday night, my best friend and I, she's here somewhere, we meet up every Friday night to watch Drag Race. Regardless of any responsibilities we have, we always make time to sit down and watch an episode together. It brings us together. We idolize the queens as they take the stage, flaunting their moves with grace and confidence. Watching them, I feel a sense of empowerment. These queens are unapologetically themselves, and in doing so, they inspire others like me to do the same. My chains start to loosen. And this is the part I always forget, so I wrote it on my hand. It's common for people to think that drag is just putting on a wig and a dress and adding some makeup, but it's so much more than that. It's a radical act of self-expression that transforms how we understand identity in today's world. Think of it as like a rainbow after a storm. Drag is like the light that's going to get us through the darkness. When I'm with my friend every Friday night, I don't feel upset. I feel happy, and I feel the love that drag creates. Drag has even allowed me to dream big. If these queens can be so powerful and strong, why can't I do the same thing? I recall watching my now favorite lip sync between Chi Chi DeVayne and Thorgy Thor to And I'm Telling You I'm Not Going. There's a part of the lip sync where the song builds up, and at the most perfect moment, Chi Chi has a wardrobe malfunction where the beads on her dress start to fall. Instead of succumbing to the accident, she stands up and continues, embracing the flaw. Watching this made me realize I can't embrace myself if I don't let go of all my fear. I needed to dream big. And again, this is another part I forgot, so I have to write this in my hand. It's an outlet to show what's on the inside and express it on the outside. Empowered by RuPaul and other queens, I was empowered to own up to my identity. So I started a Gender and Sexuality Alliance Club here at North Broward. With every meeting, I feel more confident in my identity and who I am. And I also created a community here at North Broward, just like the one I'd found in the drag community when I was lost. But my newfound sense of identity didn't just end here at North Broward. I carried it with me to the stage. When I was recently in my summer camp's performance of the 39 Steps, I could almost hear drag queen Aja saying to me, "You're perfect, you're beautiful, you look like Linda Evangelista, you're a model." So, even though this was meant as a jab to a fellow competitor, I took what she said and ran with it. I look at myself in the mirror every morning and I say, yes, I am perfect. Yes, I am a model. Yes, I do look like Linda Evangelista. I've reflected a lot on my journey with drag. And one big thing that stood out was when I watched an episode in season 8 where the top 4 queens were speaking to younger versions of themselves through a photograph. And I really liked what they did because you could see that they were getting a release. So I want to do the same thing. I grabbed a photo of my younger self and I sat down at my desk and I talked to him. I forgave him. I forgave him of all his angst, his anger, his anxiety, his hatred, but I also made sure to uplift him. I made sure to support him. He's finally going back to a high school after 6 years of not going to a normal high school. He made an amazing TED Talk that he's presenting in front of all of you. Life is really good. But also, I still have mistakes nowadays. But I'm also able to push through them and get past that. And when I was able to talk to myself, I felt a release, like a giant weight was just lifted off of my shoulders. I attended my first drag show at the end of last year, and my best friend and I were seated in the front row. And the moment those lights went down and those queens hit the stage, I felt something. I can't explain what it was, but I felt elated. It was a thrilling experience, but it wasn't just the queens that made it such a great experience, it was the people. I looked around and all I saw were people like me from all different walks of life, and it was such a beautiful thing to see that people from, I don't know, Chicago or Orlando just came down here to celebrate something so liberating. I looked into research by Coretta et al., where they discussed the idea of drag identity salience. They referred to this as a person's identity as a drag performer is a key aspect of their sense of self. Though I don't personally do drag, the underlying elements of drag have resonated with me significantly. Growing up, I felt lost. I tried to create these artificial relationships that wouldn't end up working, and then it would relate to me making an even more falser identity of myself. But drag made me realize that identity isn't about fitting yourself into a mold. It's about embracing what makes you unique. Drag made me realize that why should I ruin my life by being this false identity of myself when you only have one chance and one life to live, so why don't you just be your authentic self? RuPaul once said, "We're all born naked and the rest is drag." Everyone has the power to create their own version of themselves. The power of self-expression has been limitless and transformative for me. Thank you.